and welcome to the Wellness with Juanita podcast. I'm your host, Juanita Nagai, an American living in Japan for 20 years. I've gone through some massive life changes and crises in my 20 years here. At its bleakest, I felt very isolated, alone, and helpless in the face of what was happening. I relied on alcohol and cigarettes to get through it the best I knew how, which worked until it didn't, and everything fell apart. I made it through with a little help from my friends, a fledgling mindfulness practice, and learning how to become my own strongest ally. I quit drinking and smoking, worked my way through my grief, found ways to forgive, created new connections, and started a regular exercise, meditation, and self-care routine. I've also become a national board certified health and wellness coach along the way, and developed a desire and passion to help others on their own personal journeys. This podcast is all about change, growth, healing yourself, learning how to get back up after life kicks you down, and exploring mindfulness and self-compassion as incredible tools available to each and every one of us to do just that. Hello, and welcome to the Wellness with Juanita podcast. I'm your host, Juanita Nagai. And Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. I hope everyone had a happy, healthy, and lovely winter break. Here in Japan, we are just getting back to school and work and regular life after a couple weeks of, unfortunately, sickness and illness in my house, but also a time for just really slowing down and settling in and spending time together. And I really was able to explore wintering as a verb, which was what I was feeling compelled to do and where I felt my energy drawn to. So it was very good in that I was able to really slow down and stay warm inside and just have the opportunity to reflect and think and be very introspective. So that was my winter vacation after also having very lovely Christmas with my children. And New Year's was spent at home because of all of the illness. So welcome to 2025. Welcome to the new year. In my last podcast episode, I discussed looking back, looking at the different things that I had accomplished and what I had done in my 2024 as a means of kind of creating the basis for looking forward into the new year. So it was very helpful for me to actually go back through 2024 almost month by month, looking back over my weeks, my planners, my workbooks, my diary, all of the different things that I use to keep track of myself and hold myself accountable personally and professionally. Go through all of those things and take a look at where I was and what I was able to achieve, especially at the end of last year. I don't know if it was just part of the process of going through that reflection and introspection, but I was feeling honestly kind of down. Maybe that was part of the wintering, part of that kind of hibernation vibe that I felt. It was just a time to just close it all down, shut it all down, go really deep within and think about where I had been, what I was experiencing then, in order to be able to now look ahead. And in that process, I was able to pick out 5 lessons that I feel like I learned last year. And they are lessons or themes, if you will, that I am most definitely carrying with me into the new year, into 2025. They feel like the most important things to carry forward with me. And I have also used them as the kind of scaffolding or structure to create my own version of my New Year's resolution. I certainly have specific goals that I have created for myself, and those are very concrete, actionable things that I can move forward on, and that will hopefully propel me forward and further along my path. But I'm not sure that I was feeling kind of New Year's resolution-y in general, like within my own personal life. I've come up with a mission statement as opposed to a New Year's resolution, which I will share with you later. But first, I thought that I would take you through these 5 very important lessons learned, these themes that seem very, very important and powerful for me to carry with me into the new year. Some of these are things that are recurring themes that I seem to continue to experiment with and continue to go further with, or maybe go deeper into. And some of them, I think, though, are universal lessons or universal kind of truisms that are definitely beneficial to share with a wider audience. One of them is something that my best girlfriend told me definitely needed to be my next podcast. So it is included here, highlighted here. Shout out to the one and only lovely Miss Sparkles. Thank you for your input and your feedback. So I'm going to share my top 5 lessons learned in 2024 that I am most definitely carrying forward with me into 2025. I'm going to go in reverse order because I think it's more powerful that way, but I thought of them in the standard number 1 to number 5 order. Numbers 4 and 5, I came across at the end of the year, and I feel like these were kind of messages direct from the universe, because in that kind of slowed down pace, that kind of, I feel almost like dark, not in a negative way, but just kind of in that the world is blanketed in snow and it's quiet and hushed, and the only light is maybe, the light from a fireplace inside the cozy house or something like that. That feeling of winter for me, and that feeling of slower pace and slower life. In that time period, and when I was feeling a little down, I turned to the Tao Te Ching, which I haven't actually looked at or played with in a serious way probably since high school. But I was compelled to pick it up at random and just kind of flipped it open. And the second page that I came to was stillness and silence. And this really clicked into me with things like my meditation practice, the kind of mental stillness that I experience when I'm out running or when I am hiking in the woods, being outside and trying to connect with nature really felt relevant, in addition to the obvious things like meditation and that stillness and silence that I start my day with each and every morning. That felt very appropriate. It felt very on the nose. It felt like, okay, got it, universe. Continue on with the stillness and the silence. The next one. So the first time I had flipped open the Tao Te Ching, and the page that I came to was actually the page called Perfectionism. But what I took away from what was written there is the idea of purity and clarity. And again, this felt like a direct communication from the universe, very on the nose. instead of the frantic, incessant, ongoing background mental chatter and noise that can so often overtake my mind, of thinking, what do I need to do next? Or how do I fix this problem? Or how do I make it right? Or what should I be doing? That kind of like constant background noise, which to me means perfectionism. Like, how exactly should I be doing things? Always on the search for some kind of answer or fixed right way. Instead of that, connecting into this idea of purity and clarity. And for me, it's almost like authenticity. How do I stay connected, stay dialed in, and stay true to my most authentic self and what my intentions are in doing what I'm doing, whether that is professionally or personally? It speaks to me of deep listening and creating the spaces in order to do that deep listening so that I can answer those really big questions, answer my why, think about what I want to do and why I'm doing it and why that's important to me. So purity and clarity was lesson number 4 that I'm carrying with me into the new year. Lesson number 3 has become something of a mantra in my meditative practice. On the in-breath, I think of let go, and on the out-breath, I think of don't know. There have been so many things and so many times in the past year where I was just completely wrong. Wrong in the sense of thinking that I knew what I was talking about, or thinking that this is just the way things are concerning X, Y, or Z. I just keep falling further and further and further into the rabbit hole of accepting that I simply don't know so much. And there is just a literal infinite possibility of infinite things in the universe, in the world, not to be completely deep, but even like simple mundane things of just thinking like, oh, this is what other people's experiences are like, and realizing that maybe that's not the case. So I guess it's been a whittling away of different kind of rigid assumptions, maybe, of things that I have thought are given. Maybe they're not. And instead of resisting that or trying to hold on to what I know is right, I feel myself opening up to that feeling of letting go and just not knowing. And it's almost like an embracing and a settling in of being open and curious to what's out there. I think that's a huge lesson that the universe has been laying before my feet. And I'm paying attention and I'm taking it with me into the new year. The next big lesson is summed up in the axiom, comparison is the thief of joy. This may have been where that kind of dark or slightly negatively imbued feeling that I was experiencing at the end of last year originally emanated from. And as I was experiencing twinges of self-doubt and worry. And if I'm being totally honest, maybe some kinds of feeling of jealousy for other people or figures that I was coming across on social media or learning about in real life. I was kind of inexplicably and unintentionally drawn into a bit of a whirlpool of comparing myself to them, wishing that I had what they had or was further down my own path, like closer to where they were, maybe. I think many of you can understand that idea, though. I mean, social media is just such a vast pit of comparing yourself to other people's curated, beautiful Instagrammed lives. I think this is just like an established modern day world fact at this point, right? We all know that people are only showing their best selves, or people are only showing their worst selves intentionally to try and, create whatever account that they're trying to do. But people are very much showing us what they want us to see. They're not showing us the entire big picture. And so, without getting into a whole diatribe about social media and all of the dangers and everything there, suffice it to say, I was just feeling bad about myself. And I was doubting all of those things that I was talking about with purity and clarity. Like I was doubting what I'm doing or who I am or what the answers to my big whys are, what's important to me. It was creating friction and tension within myself. I feel like a kind of like a balloon or a bubble deflating is how I felt. And then my best friend and I, in a text, we started talking about comparison. And this is where she brought it up that I should share with everyone else. But I realized in talking to her that I was also speaking to myself and realizing that it really is the thief of joy. There is absolutely nothing good that comes of comparing ourselves to other people. Yes, if we find inspiration or motivation for people like our heroes or our role models or our mentors, if we can keep that perspective, that's one thing. But if we start comparing ourselves to other people that are doing similar things to what we're trying to do, or even just inhabiting our same physical spaces, we lose sight of ourselves and our own journeys. And as I told my friend, if we are to compare ourselves at all, let us choose to compare ourselves to past versions of ourselves so that we can see how far we have come. When I was able to look at all of those reflections and look at my diaries and my journals and my planners and my workbooks and all of these things and look at the year that I just had and where I was at the beginning of the year and how far I had come, there were so many things that I literally had honestly forgotten. So many things that are just a given now that have just become part of who I am or what I'm doing that weren't even possibilities at the beginning of last year. I really was able to tap into pride and feeling proud of myself. And that is what is going to inspire and motivate me to continue on my path, not comparing myself to somebody else who's completely unrelated to what I'm doing or what I want to do, that has nothing to do with me. And it's just occluding what I actually am doing and what I actually am working towards and who I actually am. I think it's a very understandable and natural kind of trap for us to fall into, especially given our modern day social media world. But when we find ourselves in that place, that reframe of pulling your attention away from the other and looking instead at a past version of yourself can really help bring us out of that kind of spiral and out of that negative place and turn it into a moment of pride and joy and realizing we are working our way further and further along our own individual path. And that is what is so important. Which brings me to the number one top lesson that I learned last year that I'm taking with me all the way until the end of my life, not just this year. And that is, I am my own strongest asset. And this came to me like a lightning bolt when I was out on a run earlier this year. And it has been reaffirmed and more than once has come back to me over and over again in the past year. And I am listening and I'm taking it to heart. When it came to me out on the run, I was reminiscing and lost in thought and thinking about a very, very long ago version of myself and something completely humorous and silly and ridiculous that I had said to that same best girlfriend. And it made me think of all of the ridiculous stuff I used to do to myself, physically, mentally. I am not quite ready or comfortable to talk about the details of all of the sordid things that I have done in my youth. But I will say that I did a lot of crazy, ridiculous stuff. And thinking about how hard I pushed myself and how I was able to function even after some of the stuff that I did. Thinking about all of the days that I was able to go to work on 0 hours sleep or go to work just completely hungover, exhausted, spent, whatever. I pushed myself to some insane extremes. And if I took all of the resources and all of the energy and all of the strength that was required to do that to the forces of good, as it were, I feel like now I am realizing I am capable of extraordinary things, even if it took thinking about the like ridiculous extraordinary things that I was capable of in my past. But translating that into now, what happens when I take well-rested, well-fed, well-balanced Juanita, and I take all of that incredible fortitude, determination, strength, energy, resilience, and put it into the forces of good. It just clicked and it just hit me really hard. I am going to do great things. I really am my own strongest asset. And all of us are. Even if you haven't done ridiculous shit in your past, we are all capable of so much more than we usually dare to imagine. We really are. And sometimes we just need a little help to uncover that, maybe. Or we just need a space or a place to dig into our own internal thought processes, dialogues, and really start to understand what we're doing or what makes us tick or what we want to be doing or how we want to feel. Entering into that dialogue, I think, is the first step. And then investigating with kindness and curiosity, and then guiding ourselves to grow and to move forward with actual steps. I think that process is what I have gone through, and that is what has motivated me to begin my work with other people and helping to guide them on their own process, and so that they can learn what amazing things that they want to do with their incredible energy, strength, resilience, determination, and resources. So those are my 5 lessons I learned in 2024 that I am carrying with me into 2025. And those lessons and messages from the universe that I am listening to loud and clear have gelled in my mind and have created my mission for 2025. So I feel the word New Year's resolution just doesn't cut it with what I have felt this year going through this process of a kind of really subdued, slow down, kind of darker place, allowing me for a lot of really deep reflection and introspection, and then emerging from that, kind of recognizing these lessons, seeing them emerge or kind of appear almost before my eyes, even as they were kind of being fed to me throughout the year. Everything has all kind of come together. So my mission for 2025 is to go even more all in on myself, invest in myself, practice all the things that I am always preaching: self-compassion, slowing down, purity and clarity. So staying true to my authentic self and creating the spaces for that deep listening so I can continue to ask and answer what are those questions that are most important to me. Stillness and silence, letting go and accepting things as they are, loosening the resistance and the knowing what's right phenomenon, and believing in my magic and my energy reaching out into the universe and doing its thing and attracting my people and my tribe to me. My word for the year is believe, and that is really it. I believe that something great is coming, and I believe that I will find the people that I'm meant to meet. And I really believe in the power and the life-changing realization that I truly can be my own strongest ally, that all of us can. And that is a superpower that we can all unlock and lean into and learn how to do, that we can all be the love that we are. And that is it for me. That's what it all comes down to, is for us to all realize we are it, and we hold the key, and we really are the love that we are seeking, that we are all connected in this, not only with each other, but with all living beings, with the entire planet. It's all part of it. It's all coming together. I love all of that hippie stuff, and that is what I'm all about. And the more I dive deeper into it, I think the more I will uncover the path that I am supposed to be taking, and the more other people that feel the same way are going to be attracted to me and we will find each other. So, for today's takeaway, I encourage you, if you haven't already taken a look back at your year, do so. Look back at your year, see how much you've grown, see what you have gone through, what your experiences have taught you or how they've shaped you. Look for any life lessons or any themes that have emerged. What was your year telling you? And then reflect on those things and think about, who do you want to be in the new year? You may want to ask yourself, where do I want to be, or how do I want to feel by December 31st, 2025? And use that prompt to think about your own guiding star. If you want to choose a one word, if you want to make a resolution, if you are compelled or inspired to make a mission, as I was, when I sat down to create my New Year's resolutions, goals, and intentions, it basically became a list of things that I wanted more of and less of in my life. And thinking about those things led me to create my mission statement, as it were. So I encourage you to play with that process and see what it looks like for you, what emerges from that, and trust that as your own higher wisdom speaking to you, perhaps aided and abetted by the energy of the universe and those life lessons or themes that you might see emerging, or just speaking to yourself by practicing the deep listening or attempting to answer those questions. But see what emerges. And I would love to hear about it. If you want to reach out via email, you can catch me at info@wellnesswithjuanita.com, all one word. You can check me out on my social media pages on Facebook and Instagram. All of those links are in the show notes. Please spread the word, share the love, tell your friends if you think that they could also benefit from starting to listen to topics on self-care and self-compassion and learning how to go all in on themselves as well. Thank you so much. And until next time, take care.